of September 2025, and our lesson for today is Heirs of Promises. Heirs of Promises. In Joshua chapter 1, verse 2 to 3, the Lord tells Joshua that he is giving the land to them. On the other hand, he said that he has already given it. What does that mean? The land was a gift from the Lord, who was the real owner. Okay? In Joshua chapter 1, verse 2 to 3, two different forms of verb to give are used, reflecting two significant aspects of inheriting the land. The first form expresses the process of giving the land. Only the Transjordan territories had been occupied by Israel. Most of the promised land had not yet been taken. In Joshua 1:3, the verb is used in its perfect form, giving the impression that the land had already been given to them. When God is the subject of such actions, the form is called the prophetic prophet. Let me repeat. When God is the subject of such actions, the form is called the prophetic perfect. And that's because what he promises in his word is an assured fact that can be trusted as present reality. The pronouns in verse 3, you and your, are plurals, so the promise is given not only to Joshua but to the entire people of Israel. The reference to the promise given to Moses conveys the continuity of God's cause. Also, the word call, meaning all, every, is repeated numerous times in the first chapter. The passive presence of this noun expresses the totality and integrity that is crucial to attaining the objective set before Joshua. There has to be a perfect alignment between God, Joshua, and the people of Israel in order to assure success in the forthcoming conquest of the promised land. Read Joshua chapter 4, verse 4 to 6, and Hebrews chapter 6, verse 17 and 18. At that moment, the promised land was exactly that, a promise. Yet, God calls it an inheritance. What does it mean to be heirs of God's promise? I will read these two verses in our hearing. Joshua chapter 1, verse 4 to 6. Joshua chapter 1, verse 4 to 6 says, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of Hittites, and to the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your territory. No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you nor forsake you. 6. Be strong and of good courage, for to this people you shall divide an inheritance, as an inheritance, the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Let me read Hebrews chapter 6, verse 17 and 18. Hebrews chapter 6, verse 17 and 18 says, thus God, determining to show more abundantly to the heirs of promise the immutability of his counsel, confirmed it by oath, that by two immutable things in which it is impossible for God to lie, we might have strong consolation who have fled for refuge to lay hold of the hope set before us. So the question, at that moment, the promised land was exactly that, a promise. Yet God calls it an inheritance. What does it mean to be the heirs of God's promise? There is nothing magical about the promise of God. They don't have the power in and of themselves to secure their own fulfillment. The guarantee that they will come true lies in the presence of God, who says, I will be with you. Indeed, the presence of the Lord was crucial for the survival of Israel. Without it, they would would be only one among many nations with no special call, identity, or mission. See Exodus chapter 33, verse 12 to 16. The presence of the Lord was everything Joshua needed to succeed. Nothing today has changed, which is why we have the promise of Jesus found in Matthew chapter 28, verse 20. I will read that also. Matthew chapter 28, verse 20. of Matthew says, teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you, and lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Amen. So that is the lesson for today, Tuesday, the 30th of September, and I pray that the Lord may lead you, and see you tomorrow for the one for Wednesday. Thank you.